Okay. Are we live? Okay, can everybody hear me? Just to make sure, this morning, welcome to the Sunday Buddha Puja service in Subanjaya Buddhist Association. Today here in SJBA Shrine Hall. At the same time, it is now also streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. So for those audience who are following us online, you can be part of the service. But for those who are present here this morning, we welcome everyone to be here and to participate in the service this morning. I'm Wern, I'm your host for this morning. And we have a team here at the back, which is Didi Yek and Brother Alfred, who will also be supporting on the technical side. And for those who just to take a moment to see if everybody can hear clearly. So Alfred, everything's okay so far? Okay, very good. I think it's always good to start off the morning on a Sunday with devotional practice. And being part of devotional practice means we take the time and to come as a community and be part of this spiritual experience. So it's always good to start off with the paying homage to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, as well as to reflect on certain aspects of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha with the puja that we're going to do this morning. So let us all, compose our minds, take a moment to be present, and as we take a pause so that we can now be present, and let's orientate our mind towards the Buddha and to orientate our hearts to spiritual engagement this morning. All right. So the first thing to do is to pay homage and do the customary salutations to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Buddhang pujemi. Dhammang pujemi. Sanghang pujemi. Salutation to the Buddha. We have to move the slides and the thanks. Yeah. All right. We will be reciting the Pali verses as well as in English, but English only one time. You don't have to repeat 3 times. Salutation to the Buddha. Let's recite together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the Blessed One. Previous slide, please. Yeah. Homage to him. Let's go one before. Yeah. Go one before. One before. Yeah. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Accomplished One, the perfectly enlightened Supreme Buddha. Okay, let's move on. Let's take the 3 refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. I go to the Buddha for refuge. I go to the Dhamma for refuge. I go to the Sangha for refuge. For the second time, I go to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha for refuge. For the third time, I go to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha for refuge. Let's recite the 5 precepts together. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumicchachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramiraya majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Go back 1 slide, 2 slides, please. I undertake the training rule to abstain from killing living beings. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking what is not given. I undertake the training rule to abstain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the training rule to abstain from false speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking anything that causes intoxication and heedlessness. I undertake the training rule to observe these 5 precepts. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's be seated. Let's chant the recollection of the Buddha together. Buddha Nusati. Iti piso bhagava arhang samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasarati sattha deva manussanang Buddho Bhagavati. Recollection of the Dhamma. Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandittiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanayiko Paccat Tang Vedittabbo Vinyohiti. Recollection of the Sangha. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyayapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Sami Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yadidang Chattari Purisa Yugani Attha Purisa Puggala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakhineyo Anjalikaraniyo Anutterang Punyakhetang Lokasati. Let us now pay homage to the images of the Buddha and all the holy shrines and relics of the Buddha, that they represent the enlightenment of the Buddha, that we will respect and pay homage to them as a remembrance of the Buddha's great qualities. Vandami cetiyang sabbang sabbatane supatititang saririka dhatu mahabodhing buddha rupang sakalang sada. Let us also pay homage or revere the Bodhi tree. In SJBA, we have the Bodhi tree situated at the side of the temple, right behind the Buddha image at the this side. And this is also in remembrance of the very root of the Bodhi tree that has given shelter to the Buddha before his enlightenment. So as we remember and recite this, remember that it was a Bodhi tree that the Buddha first pay homage to as his gratitude that shelter him from all the elements, the rain, the sun, and the wind. So the tree provided the shelter for the Buddha's enlightenment to be possible. Let's recite together. Yassa mule nisinno va sabbari vijayang aka patto sabbabut tang satta vande tang bodhipadapang ime ete mahabodhi lokanathena pujita aham pite namassami bodhi raja namatute. Offering of light. With lights brightly shining, abolishing this gloom, I adore the Enlightened One who dispels the darkness of ignorance. Ghana sarappaditena dipena tamadhang sina diloka dipang sambuddhang Pujayami tamonudang. Offering of incense. With fragrant incense made from fragrant substances, I honor the Exalted One, most worthy of honor and offerings. Gandha samhara yuttena dhupena hang sugandhina Pujaye pujaniyang tang puja bhajana muttamang. Offering of flowers. This mass of flowers, fresh-hued, fragrant and choice, I offer at the sacred lotus-like feet of the noble sage. วันกันทากุโนเปตังเอตังกุสุมสันตติงปูเจยามิมุนินดัสสะสิริปาเดสาโรรุเหปูเจมิบุตทังกุสุเมนะเนนะปุตเยนะเมเตนะชะโหตุโมกขังปุปปังมิลายาติยถาอิดังเมกายโยตถายาติวินาสภาวังLet's chant the Metta Sutta together. This is the discourse on loving kindness that the Buddha has given to the monks to allow them or to help them repel the enemies of distractions, of anger and jealousy and frustration by generating and sending and bringing forth the feeling of metta or loving kindness to all beings. Let's recite this together. Karaniya mattha kusalena yang tang san tang padang abhisamecca sakko uju ca suju ca suvacho chassa muduanati mani Santusko ca subharo ca appakicco ca sallahukawutti Samtindriyo ca nipako ca appagambho kulesu ananugindho Na ca khuddhang samacare kinci yena vinyo pare upavadeyong sukhino va khemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitanta ye keci pana bhutatทิตสาวาทาวราวาอนวาเสสดิฆาวาเยมหันตาวามัจฉิมารัสกานุคทูลาดิทธาวาเยวะอัดดิทธาเยชดูเรวะสัมติยาวิดูเรภูตาวาสัมภเวสีวาสัพเบสัตตาภาวันตุสุขิตันตานาปโรปรังนิคุปเบธานาติมัญเยตคัตตจินังคันจียาโรสนาปฏิกสัญญาญาญมัญญสสดุขัมมิจเจยดิตมัทธายตานิยังปุตตังอายุสาเอกมุตตมานุรักเขเอวังปิสัพพภูเตสุมานะสังภาวเยอปาริมานังเมตตังชะสัพพโลกัสมิงมานะสังภาวเยอปาริมานังอุดทังอโดจติริยันเจอัสสังภาดังอเวรังอัสปัตตังดิตตินชะอนุปกัมมสีลธรรมยัสสเนนะสัมปันโนกาเมสุวินัยเกดังนะหิจาตุกัปปะเสยัง punareti. So we have recited the Metta Sutta this morning, and with all the recitations and the devotion that we have given to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, we have generated good feelings, good merits that we can now dedicate to the well-being and happiness of others. But before that, let's take also a moment to reflect on the things that we have done, especially faults that we may have done in the past. Now that we know that we have done something by not so skillful by body, speech, or mind, we now ask for forgiveness. And as we ask for forgiveness, it's also important that we reflect and forgive ourselves for all the faults that we have done, whether consciously or unconsciously. So let's recite this together. We're going to read the English one first, and then we're going to recite the Pali. Okay? If by deed, speech, or thought heedlessly I have done anything wrong, forgive me, Venerable Sir, of vast wisdom, O Teacher, the Tathagata. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya ketang acayang kama me bahante Bhuripanya Tathagata. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya ketang acayang kama me dhamma sanditthika akalika. Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya ketang acayang kama me sangha supatipanna anuttara. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, good morning once again, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Welcome to Subanjaya Buddhist Association. I introduce myself again. I'm Niwen. I'm your host for this morning's Sunday service. And we have a small number here this morning. And perhaps I'd like to invite you maybe to come forward a little bit. I will also be seated somewhere closer here before we begin the Dhamma talk, if you don't mind. Just come forward a little bit. It's easier for us to have maybe conversations and engagement. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Right. And for those who are online, I think give me a moment while I set up the slides as we for the Dhamma talk. So this morning for the Sunday service session, we have today. I think the usual Sundays are very good to take a time to come and, apart from us doing our marketing and all the usual chores, once a week, it's always a good practice to come into a center like this where we do something for ourselves. It's to benefit ourselves and to benefit the people around us. And by doing so, actually, we are actually getting in touch with our spiritual side, which is good, because when we are in touch with our spiritual side, we are in touch with life. And when we get in touch with life, we are actually renewing ourselves every week as we not just renew ourselves physically, but renew ourselves mentally, emotionally as well. So this is a good practice to come forward, to come together. As our Sunday Dhamma school is in session, I think the adults can also be part of this learning experience. So welcome once again to Subanjaya Buddhist Association. Today is a little bit unusual because the crew that is normally in charge is actually doing a wake service or a funeral service for one of our benefactors, the passing away of our Datuk Kenny, Dato' Kenny, and Datin Rosalind has always been a benefactor. So the host, the puja leader, all even Bante Indaratana himself, Venerable today, is also doing the funeral service. So I have told the committee that I will definitely be here to ensure that the session still runs. So I'm your puja leader, I'm your host, and I'm also the Dhamma speaker this morning. So, so forgive me for a bit of technical glitches if I have. Okay, just to check, Alfred, if I were to sit here, is it still all right? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to sit right here, right in front of you. And for those who are watching online, just to make sure that, are you seeing the slides as we are seeing? Closer here. Okay. So are we seeing the slides online? Are we okay? Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, just to confirm. Okay, as we, so the usual Sunday sequence will be like this. We will have the puja, which starts at 9:30. I would encourage you to come at 9:30 or so if you can, to participate in the, I think it's always good to start off with the puja. Puja is always a good time for us to reconnect, not just intellectually, but also emotionally. Because sometimes when you do chanting, you're not trying to intellectualize things. You're trying to connect to your heart. All right. So as we do that, as we do the practice, it is part of our spiritual learning and spiritual renewal experience. Then around now, about 10 o'clock to about 10:30 or 10:40 or so, the Dhamma talk will be there, in session. So which means we will utilize the talk for learning about one aspect of the Dhamma, then followed by some Q&As, and then after that, we will have some dedication, sharing of merits at the end. So then we should conclude about 11 or so. Then some of you who have your kids here, you can pick your kids up. Those of you who are not, who might be on your own here, it's okay. We can still engage each other. So are we okay to the Dhamma talk? Okay. So today I want to touch on the topic on what we call by fortifying the fortress of life. What does it mean? It means our life is something like, our life means what we have, our body, our mind, our emotions and everything. They are all like our fortress. And some of us have a very good fortress or a castle around us. Some of us, our life is well protected. And if you can imagine, is your life well protected? I think if you're Subanjaya residents, your life is generally quite well protected. Most Subanjaya residents do have everything you need, right? And everything you want. Our crime rate is generally low. In general, there are one or two, break-ins cases, but in general, you don't live a life that is very haphazard or all the time need to watch out. As long as you are quite vigilant, you keep to your things, you should be okay. But what about our internal life? External life, we are well guided and protected. We do have everything we need. But what about our internal life? And that's something the Buddha is trying to tell us, is that just as we make sure our external part, our houses, our whatever is well secured, our physical things are well secured, we also must ensure that at the same time our spiritual life is also well secured. So I'm going to go through some of this, and for those online, there'll be a parallel running of the slide as well. So next. Okay, so what is a citadel or a fortress? A citadel is the core fortified area of a town or city. It may be a castle, fortress, or fortified center. The term is a city or little city. It is a defensive core of the city. So I want to just bring your attention because why? Because the Buddha was very clever to use everyday language and even images that people are normally familiar with to go and make tell us a story. So the Buddha uses the simile of a citadel or a fortress or a castle. Anybody knows what is that? Have you seen that before? No? Or seen the movies? Right? There should be some of you may have seen before, yeah, in the movies, a castle, a fortress, yeah. So here's what I want to tell you first. The sutta, this part is called the Nagaropama Sutta. Now, what is this Nagaropama Sutta? Nagaropama Sutta is the word Nagaro. Interesting, is the Pali or the Sanskrit word, root word for Nagara. You're familiar with Nagara, right? Nagaraku. So Nagara, yeah, it means country. But in this case, Nagara, no, Nagara, in the Pali language, it means the fortress. Okay, it means the castle or the place that is well protected. Just as a country, if you are living in a country, the country should be well protected. So here in the sutta, the Buddha said this: because when a king's frontier citadel is well provided with 7 essentials and gets 4 kinds of sustenance when needed, without trouble or difficulty, it is then called a king's frontier citadel that cannot be overrun by external foes and enemies. Now, what does it mean? It means that as well as your citadel, your fortress is well protected, you will have everything you need. You won't have to worry about enemies. You are well protected from all elements. But you must have these 7 essentials. Okay, the 7 ingredients of what makes a good fortress, a good castle. So what are they? I'll just go through the explanation first. So what are the 7 essentials? Firstly, a citadel has a pillar with deep foundations, firmly embedded, imperturbable, and unshakable. This is the first essential with which a frontier citadel is well provided to defend those within and repel those outside. Now, what does it mean? It means that it has a good pillar with foundation very strong. It is unshakable. So imagine this: if a city has a pillar with deep, unshakable, that is the first essential. So it means you must have that as a very foundation. Okay? If your foundation of your castle is very weak, it's very easy to be overrun by enemies. And so that's what the Buddha said. So even during the Buddha's time, I'm sure there were castles, fortress, and all that. So he was using military language to explain something. Now let's go to the next one. The next ingredient or essential is a citadel has a moat that is deep and wide. Okay? Deep and wide. This is the second essential. So a moat is something like, the longkang around the castle, where it has, yesterday I was doing a session for my friends and they says, there's a big longkang with, with water and maybe crocodiles. So you got imagination and say maybe you got crocodiles to defend your city. So as a moat, it is deep, it is wide. Okay, so it's very hard for enemies to come in. Okay, so first of all, it's a deep foundation. Secondly, it has a moat around it. It will be very hard for people to also overrun our city. So the next one, the third essential is has a patrol path also that is high, that is wide. If you look at the movie, there's this, the wall of the city is very high, and then up there's some army, the people, it's a path where they can patrol, like the policeman. So it's the olden days, security guard lah. All right, so they have a patrol path. Again, when you have that, it will definitely help you to defend your city even better. So can you imagine? So deep and wide foundations, moat, and then patrol path. Already you can see the city is well fortified. Next one, number 4. A citadel has stores of many weapons, both projectile and handheld, which means projectile means long-range weapon, handheld means short-range weapon. So you got long-range weapon, short-range weapon. So you have a store of it. You will never run out of it. Then you will be well protected. And the fifth essential is many kinds of armed forces reside, such as all these elephant riders, cavalry, charioteers, archers, bannermen, adjutants, foot servers, warrior chief, princes, chargers, warriors, heroes, leather-clad soldiers, sons of bond servants. Wow, imagine this. All your human resources are in good order. Okay, so a fortress has not only the hardware, which is the building, the wall, the petrol pump, the weapon, but it has the people that you should be able to defend the city, because they are, they have all these people, armies, generals, and maybe even people who provide the support, such as the cooks, the people who take care of the food, people who take care of the money, and all those kind of things. So it's another essential, the fifth essential. Sixth essential of a citadel is a gatekeeper who is astute, which means he's wise, competent, and intelligent. He keeps strangers out, lets known people in. This is the sixth essential. So also this is what we call the immigration officer, the custom. He will ensure that only the ones that are safe enough to come in can come in, and he knows who should come in, who should not come in. He has a very good gatekeeper, very wise, very intelligent. All right? And the seventh essential is this. A citadel has a wall that is high and wide, covered with plaster, covered with cement. So it is another essential which makes the whole fortress impenetrable. So this is the fortress. Just to tell you the whole idea first. The Buddha is trying to tell us that the fortress, having these 7 essentials, will be well protected. You will have everything you need in there. You will not be short of food. You will not be short of anything. So in other words, life in the fortress will be prosperous. So in the same light, what the Buddha is trying to say is, our life can be like a fortress. It is whether we build a strong fortress or our fortress is weak. So how do we build a strong fortress for our life? And this is very important, because life itself can be very dangerous, right? You're subject to many things, all right? What we call Buddhist, in Buddhist culture, we have this figure called Mara. Mara is the symbol for death, for temptation, for all kind of evil things. And if we are not careful, we can fall into those traps very easily in our life. So the simile of the citadel tells us a few things. What is the first essential? The first essential, okay, so this is what it means. In the same way, when a noble disciple has 7 good qualities, they get the 4 jhanas, blissful meditations in the present life that belong to the higher mind. When they want, without trouble or difficulty, they are then called a noble disciple who cannot be overrun by Mara, who cannot be overrun by the wicked one. Okay? So Buddha is trying to tell us, don't just look at the physical fortress. Look at our life. Are we well fortified? Are we well secured? Do we have those qualities? So what are the qualities? Number 1, the first quality is the quality of deep foundations. The deep foundations correspond to this thing called faith. So just as a king's citadel has a pillar with deep foundations, in the same way, a noble disciple has faith in the realized one's awakening. That blessed one is perfected, fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, knower of the world, supreme guide. This is what we chanted just now, Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vicca charana sampano sugato lokavidu, and all that. These are the qualities of the Buddha. So what the Buddha is trying to tell us is that just like having a deep foundation, if we have faith in the Buddha's enlightenment, we have faith that he is the awakened one, we believe that he is the one that has given us so much of good teachings. That is the first essential for us to fortify our life, to make our life more secure, stronger, so that we will have all the good things that will come to us. And the very first thing the Buddha mentioned is faith. And what does it mean by faith? All of you are here to come to SJBA because, actually, do you know why we came here to SJBA? I'm sure we come to this temple not by accident. Of course, I know some people, they got they pass through this one, they say, what is this place? Very curious, come inside. Or it could be, how many of you are parents of the Sunday Dhamma school students? Okay, so your students, your children brought you here lah. So you, so you should thank your children, you know. And why do you choose to come here in the first place? You must be something. I think this place can be trusted lah. See the people here, they are not running, they're not running a cult or a kind of, or a kind of, scam. This kind of place won't scam you. So okay, you come here. But why do you choose to come and spend your morning in this center? There must be a good reason. And if you look at it, all these are possible. This building is possible because people made it possible. And why did people make it possible? Because they believe that they should do something right. Why do you think they want to do something right? Somebody would have inspired somebody to do something. And if you trace back all this inspiration that we get from someone, you trace it back all the way. Maybe we heard it from this master, maybe we went to YouTube and found this channel, and so happened we heard about it. But if you look back further and further and further, actually the one who started it off is who? Who is it? None other than the Buddha himself. So if you look at it, without the Buddha starting off to teach about the Dhamma 2,500 years ago, we wouldn't be sitting here today having this benefit, having the benefit of knowing about all these things. So when we say we have faith, it means we remember that the Buddha made this essential thing happen for us. And that is what it means by having the faith that the Buddha is an enlightened being. He's not an ordinary man. He is a man. He was a man, but no ordinary man. Beyond an ordinary person, he has given so much. And this teaching that has lasted for millennia, 2.5 millennia, can you imagine? And today we are still talking about it. Today we are still practicing it. That's what it means by faith. So I hope you can see it from this angle. Okay, next one. So next one is called a deep and wide moat. This is called the conscious, or what we call moral shame. I'll explain this shortly. Just as a citadel has a moat, in the same way has conscience or moral shame. They are conscientious about bad conduct by body, speech, or mind. In other words, moral shame in Pali, the word is hiri, H-I-R-I, hiri. Means somebody, like most of us, why do we prevent or why do we avoid doing something wrong? Or why after we do something wrong, we know that it's bad? That has to do with moral shame. Okay, so it is, it is a shameful thing to do something not so right. If you break a precept, if you tell a lie, if we hurt somebody, it is wrong. Okay, that is called moral shame. It is not. It is something that is not so correct. So I will make sure those things I will try not to do or try to do less. That's what it means by moral shame. Actually, there are some people who don't have moral shame. You know people like that? They do it wrong already, then they will tell you, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Have you ever known people like that? I'm sure some of you may know some people like that. They do it wrong already. After that, they just pretend as if it's nothing wrong. No, I didn't do anything wrong. No, it's his fault, not my fault. I didn't steal 2.5 billion. Sorry. And this is called no moral shame. Okay? So moral shame means I know it's wrong. That's what it means. Okay? So having moral shame would further strengthen your life fortress. That's what it means. All right? So next one. Next one is connected to this as well. It's called moral fear or prudence. Just as a citadel has a patrol path, high and wide. In the same way, a noble disciple has moral fear. When it comes to bad conduct, he is fearful of the bad conduct. In Pali, the word is otappa. So we have hiri, moral shame, otappa, moral fear. They two come together one. Moral shame and moral fear means I know it's wrong. I will not do it because I know it's wrong. Not because Buddha tell me it's wrong. Not because I chant the 5 precepts, so I must follow the rule. It's not like that. It's because I understand by myself that this is not right. I know very well. No God need to tell me. No Buddha must need to tell me, but I know it's wrong. That's called moral shame and moral fear. If you have this internally, it's called your moral compass. You know what is right, you know what is wrong, you can feel it. And therefore, that will fortify your life. Some people, their life is not well fortified because they do all the wrong thing and they're not aware that they do the wrong thing. And then they repeat doing the wrong thing and they think it's okay. Okay? Cantonese, we have this saying, the word shame, they don't know how to write the word shame. Some people are like that. I just heard from my friend who is a Malaccan, they got this peribahasa, some people, they call it bodoh sombong. I don't know what bodoh sombong means. They do the wrong thing and they're still very arrogant about it. No, it's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. It's not my wrong. Somebody was the one. Too bad lah. It's not me, it's him. Then they got no moral fear, no moral shame. But if we have that, our internal compass is very strong. We know what is the direction. Then we in ourselves is well fortified in our life, just as a well fortified citadel. Yep. Okay. Next one. Many weapons. Many weapons here means it is about learning. The Pali word here is sutta, not the sutta, S-U-T-T-A. This is S-U-T-A, 1 T. Sutta means to hear. To hear. Now, what does it mean? Here, it means they remember and keep what they have learned. These teachings are good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end, meaningful, well-phrased, describing a spiritual practice that's entirely full and pure. They are very learned in such teachings, remembering them, reciting them, mentally scrutinizing them, and comprehending them. So what Buddha is trying to tell us is that learning is part of spiritual practice. I'll just tell you this, one of my mentors, Uncle Vijaya. So how many of you know who is Uncle Vijaya? Yeah, okay, some of you. Uncle Vijaya is a very, important. He stays around Subanjaya, and he's a very charismatic Dhamma speaker, and I learned so much from him. One of the things he told me is, or one of the things he used to tell in his Dhamma talks is like this. Some people in their life, yes, they'll tell you, I'm a Buddhist. I keep my 5 precepts. Okay lah, good enough lah. Why must I come to the temple? Why must I come to the Sunday? I got so many things to do. I'm so busy. So why don't I just do anyway? Every day I just keep my 5 precepts. But I'm okay. So the Uncle Vijaya says, okay, you keep your precept. That's good. Yeah. And let me tell you that my Alsatian dog also keeps the 5 precepts. He does not kill. He does not steal. Sexual misconduct maybe once in a while. He does not tell lies. And he definitely doesn't take alcohol and drugs. So he is a very good Buddhist. But what sets us apart from a Alsatian dog? We are human beings. And interesting, the word for human, the Pali word for human is manusa. Manusya. Mano, thinking. Yeah, with intention. Sa is a short for satta, means being. A thinking being. Only humans have this quality to be able to think, differentiate, make decisions. Animals can't do that. What sets us apart from our pets that we have at home is we have ability to learn. And so if you look at it, actually, what makes us different? What makes us different is to learn. Learn what? In the case of a Buddhist context, we are learning about the Dhamma. We are learning about what is right, what is good, what is proper. The time to deepen our understanding about certain things by coming to a place like this on a Sunday is very important. Not just to do the chanting and then drop the kids off and all that, but it's also to enrich ourselves with learning. So learning what is good in the middle, beginning, and in the end. I think that's what the Buddha says. If we can learn more, practice more learning, it will further fortify our life, make our life more secure, get everything that we want from life itself. So that's what it means by the fourth essential, learning. How many do we have now? First one is faith. One, moral shame. Then third is moral fear, hiri otapa. Then fourth is learning. So apart from having faith, keeping the precepts, that's just the behavior side. Okay, the behavior is about having faith, keeping the precept. We also learn. All right. So by learning, we further enhance, further develop, then we grow. And human beings are the beings capable of growth. Animals don't have this capability. Their life revolves around their instinct. Just ada cukup makan, cukup tidur, good enough. To them, that's it. Right? But manusia needs beyond that. Our minds need to be developed and grow and learn and transform. Okay? So fifth one. So this is just something I just want to say. As a Dhamma practitioner, one of the prerequisites is to have a learner's mind. Being a learner enables us to absorb information, internalize what is received, reflect upon what is learned, and make changes to one's own attitudes and behaviors. Good results of Dhamma practice can only come about when one learns to be a learner. And I think that's essential for all of us. In spiritual practice, learning is key. Some people stop learning. People who stop learning after a while because of the changes happening in the world outside. Inside have not learned. You notice after a while the gap between you and the outside world will be further and further and further. Over a period of time, some people say you become Jurassic Park. You are irrelevant after a while. Okay. Yeah. All right. Next one. Again, this is just my little. The Chinese word for learning is there's two words: 学问. 学问. Yeah. So when we say 有学问的人, it means he's well learned. And interesting, the word 学问 comes from it's a compound of two things. On one hand, 学 is to learn, 问 is ask. So people who are learned actually ask a lot of good questions. So 有学问 means you know how to ask questions. So people who are learned don't talk so much. They ask a lot of questions. So maybe Dhamma speakers should learn to ask more questions. We talk too much sometimes. Okay, next one. I'm going to skip this. So, fifth one, armed forces, energetic. Just as many kinds of armed forces reside in a citadel, in the same way, a noble disciple is energetic. They live with energy, roused up for giving up unskillful qualities and embracing skillful qualities. They are strong, staunchly vigorous, not slacking off when it comes to developing skillful qualities. The word in Pali for this is called virya. Virya, the word virya, if you look at the English word equivalent is vigor, vigorous. All right? So virya means vigorous energy, or Malay word is wira, hero. Okay, making a heroic effort. So knowing alone is not enough. This is doing. What does it mean? It means if there are unskillful habits, unskillful qualities, you apply your energy to minimize those not so good qualities. I'm sure some of us do have bad habits, right? Do we have bad habits? We do have our bad habits. We do have our bad qualities. If we know we have them, we have to try to reduce them, minimize them. And if we know about them, even avoid them. That's called virya. Yeah. If we then to develop skillful qualities, those qualities that we already have, let's make more of them. Generosity. Yeah. Some of us are kind people. Do more. Some of us are maybe nicer people. You will help people. Do more of that. Some of us keep to some precept. Keep on doing that. So this is called developing skillful qualities. So two things when it comes to virya, having the energy to abandon, minimize unskillful habits, having the energy to build, develop, strengthen skillful qualities. That's called virya. All right? And this will make your practice more sustainable. Because if you don't have virya, 1 week come for SJBA Dhamma talk, oh, very good Dhamma talk, I'm so motivated. Go back, 2 days later, go back to same habits. Because the virya is absent. So this will help us to strengthen our resolve to keep practicing again and again and again. All right? It's for consistency. So the Buddha was very wise. He's not concerned about whether you are, so motivated. No, he's concerned about consistency, sustainability, and virya is the one. Yeah? Another word is vayama. So samma vayama is the right effort taken to abandon unskillful habits and build the skillful habits. That's a fifth essential how to fortify your life. Next one. Okay, this one. So, and what is right effort? When a bhikkhu generates all this to so that unskillful qualities don't arise, they generate enthusiasm, make an effort, exert the mind, so that bad, unskillful habits that have arisen are given up. So sometimes the bad things haven't come up yet, you avoid them. Those that have already come up, you already have them, you minimize them. All right? And those habits that are skillful, that have not arisen, you arise them. And those qualities that have already arisen remain not lost, increase, mature, fulfilled by development. This is from the Vibhanga Sutta in Samyutta Nikaya. The Buddha advised that it's not enough just to know the theory. It's also important to apply ourselves in the practice of abandoning those habits and building habits. That's what it means. Okay? So let's move to the next one. Number 6, competent gatekeeper is mindfulness. Sati. What is this mindfulness? Just as a citadel has a gatekeeper who is astute, competent, and intelligent, keeps strangers out, lets known people in the same way, a noble disciple is mindful. They have utmost mindfulness and alertness and can remember and recall what was said and done long ago. Mindfulness is your gatekeeper. You know things are coming. You know jealousy arising. You know anger coming up. Your gatekeeper is there to keep it out. Your gatekeeper is telling us, okay, only thoughts of loving kindness come into my mind. All right, so this is called mindfulness. It is your competent gatekeeper. Some people's gatekeeper is very weak. So if you have a lousy gatekeeper, what happens? Semua boleh masuk. The even worst one is yang perlu masuk tak masuk. Yeah? The one that's supposed to come in don't come in. The one that's not supposed to come in all come in. Right? So your own internal immigration officer must also be very wise to know who to admit, who not to admit. That is called your mindfulness. All right? And the last one. High and wide wall is the simile for wisdom. Just as a wall that is high and wide, covered with plaster, to defend those within and repel those outside, in the same way a noble disciple is wise. They have the wisdom of arising and passing away, which is noble, penetrative and leads to the complete ending of suffering. In other words, wisdom is like a wall to guard you from all those things that arise around you and inside you. So by having wisdom, you can then make good choices, make good decisions. And not only that, because you see the true nature of things, penetrative into the reality of things, you're no longer bound by dukkha. You're no longer bound by suffering. You're ending dukkha. Okay? So these 7 qualities, according to the teaching here, are the essentials how to fortify your life. First of all, having faith, then your precepts, moral shame, moral fear, then learning, right? Learning what we need to learn, and then rousing up the energy to practice, followed by having the mindfulness to know how to tell the difference between what is good and bad, and finally the wisdom to see that everything is just what it is, seeing the real nature of things, seeing the true nature of things. And by doing so, our life is well fortified. No Mara, no other external forces, not even internally can destroy this life fortress. Okay? So spiritual practice helps to fortify our life and provide us with all the essential necessary for happiness and well-being. By practicing the 7 qualities, we strengthen our mind and heart, allowing wholesomeness to arise. We'll be able to repel outside forces that threaten our spiritual life. So that is what I think we want to share with you this morning. Yeah. So this is a very interesting sutta because I like suttas that have similes. Because the Buddha never just talk in a lecture style. He always uses analogy, simile, parables, stories to tell something about a teaching. So the Buddhist teaching is not a dry way of understanding what I must do this, I must do that. No, this is something that we all can relate to. If you can imagine how a citadel operates, you can imagine how a castle operates. You can imagine that this is how our life can operate. And that is very essential for all of us in our spiritual practice. So those who are also watching online, I hope you're also listening with hearts and minds. And hopefully as you strengthen your life fortress together, we can make our community even stronger. Okay? So I will end my Dhamma talk here and we will open for questions or opinions. Questions or opinions? Maybe the mic. I need the... Yeah, any questions or any comments? Yes. Should take the mic. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for sharing, Brother
Niwan.
So it'll be the 7 qualities. Does it need to be sequential manner, or it can be in any manner? Thank you.
Thanks. So the question is whether I think can hold on to it for a while. It's okay. Yeah, I think well, it can be both actually. The Buddha's teaching is never a straight line, but at the same time, it can also be a straight line. Wow, very chim, this one. No, I'm not here to give you a very confusing statement. Some people, they work better with sequence. For some people, it is helpful to start with something easier. So normally what is easier for some people? So for certain individuals, it's easier to just give them a bit of faith. So some people come in contact with the Dhamma, come in contact with the Buddhism through faith, by maybe their upbringing. I was brought up in a very, in an environment where we were not Buddhist to begin with. We were just, my grandmother prayed to, certain gods and Kuan Yin. I I still remember those days, and I remember just feeling that it is good, it is right, it is proper. So my journey to Buddhism may have started from that angle. And from there, it is then easy for people to tell me, okay, now that you believe about the Buddha's teaching, you have the faith in it, it's time for you to now learn a little bit more about what you should do, your conduct, moral conduct. That's why the second one is about moral shame, moral fear, all those things. Then let's learn a little bit more about the teaching so that you deepen your understanding, and then it goes on. So in that manner, for some people, that sequence is very helpful because it starts with something maybe not so not so complicated. Faith is uncomplicated. It's very simple. Just to believe this is a great man. I remember when I was young, there used to be this book published by the Buddhist Missionary Society. It's called The Life of the Buddha, and that book was a more for kids to read. But I was reading it, and they have those images of the Buddha battling Mara. By sitting down in meditation, he just defeated Mara. And to me, my memory of that was the Buddha was a superhero. so that helped me. Okay, so for me, that sequence helpful. But at the same time, that sequence need not be followed that manner. Why? Because for some people, their angle to come into Buddhism is not from that angle. Some people, they came to know Buddhism through maybe the wisdom side. So to them, they read something and they say, I think this one makes sense. This one makes sense. This one, wow, this one really captured my attention. Why? Because it makes a lot of sense to me. I understand it. I agree with it. I think it's logical. And then from there, it comes in from the wisdom side. I know a little bit more about it. Then as they know a little bit more, they go to learning. They don't go and find out more. They learn more. They are very curious. So they go into this. So some people, they don't start from faith. So it's okay. Even if you don't start from the faith angle, you start from the wisdom side. So there's these two. From number one is faith, is here. Faith is a lot more here, the emotions. But wisdom is here. Could be. Yeah. So how do you put the two together? It doesn't matter. As long as you start from there, you then learn about it. Then from there, hopefully some people, after learning a little bit more, they also adjust their behavior. They adjust their conduct. Then after adjusting their conduct, after practicing for a while, then they have faith in the Buddha. So it can happen that way. So it need not be in that sequence, right? But for most people, the sequence is helpful because it starts out with something more simpler, then it goes on. But some people, no. Their entry to Buddhism is not like that. I have some few friends that they know about Buddhism not from that angle, and they know about it because somebody gave them a Dhamma book, or they heard a YouTube talk, or they read something or whatever it is lah. And then I think this is quite useful, so why not I find out a little bit more. Then they get to know a little bit more and deepen. Then the faith comes later. So I'm not sure if you answer, but I hope you answered the question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Next question. See, there you have a question from. Okay. Can leave the mic here, it's okay. How does one remove fear in these 7 essentials? Wow, interesting. How does one remove fear? Okay. I think it depends on what you mean by fear here. Fear here, I suppose the question asked is, fear here relates to something very negative. So, Pali word for fear is bahaya, or in Malay is bahaya. Bahaya is danger. So fear. So Bahaya is fear. So Bahaya is no fear. So how do you go from Bahaya to Bahaya, from fear to no fear? I think fear comes about because essentially fear is why. What's the root of fear? The root of fear is attachment. According to Buddhist teaching, dukkha. What is dukkha? Dukkha is, let me give you a few scenario here. Rebirth is dukkha. Being born again and again is dukkha. Death is dukkha. Old age is dukkha. Falling sick is dukkha. Association with what we don't like is dukkha. That means, let's suppose somebody walks into the hall and I have some history with him or her. Just being in the same room with him, I don't like. That's dukkha. Okay, have you ever felt that way? Being there with someone you don't like, be in a situation where you don't like, so association with that is a dukkha. Not association or separation from the one you like is dukkha. Not getting what you want is dukkha. Why do we have dukkha? Because of this word, this thing called tanha. Tanha means craving, attachment, wanting, always wanting something, always wanting it to be this way, always wanting to control the outcome, always wanting to things to be permanent. We have what we have today, and we want everything to remain as they are. We do not want them to change, but the world changes. We don't want COVID, but COVID happens. We don't want COVID. We say, never mind, COVID happened to everybody else, don't happen to me, but then it happened to me, for example. So these are all dukkha. So what is fear? Fear is not getting what you want. Fear is getting what you don't want. Fear is always this the word tanha, craving, yeah. Actually, the Sanskrit word for it is tarasna. And if you look at the word tarasna, it's like the English word thirst. Thirsty. It's never ending one. I get this, I want the next thing. I I got married to my husband, I wish he is a different husband. I got married to my wife, I wish it's a different wife. I'm born in Malaysia, I wish I'm in another country. And I got enough money, but I want more. I got a dream job, I got my job, I wish I got a different job. I'm fully retired, but I wish I can go back to work. It's never ending. So when we have this constant wanting, grasping, holding on, even holding on to our views, our ideas, our opinions, that creates dukkha. And all this holding on, craving, wanting, grasping leads to fear. Because fear of not being in control, fear of not knowing what's going to happen, fear of the impermanent nature of things. So can these 7 essential qualities lead to no fear? Yes. When we practice faith, when we keep our behavior blameless, when we keep to our precept, actually, we are removing fear. Isn't it? Keeping a precept is actually removing fear. By keeping the precept of non-harming others, by not telling lies, by keeping certain good speech, we are actually reducing the kind of blameful action. People won't blame you so much. So you're removing fear. By learning more, having mindfulness, and eventually having the wisdom, you have no fear. So the whole practice of Buddhism, even these 7 essentials, leads us down to the path of, I now understand my life is well fortified. I have lesser fear or even no fear. And what is this no fear? The Buddha quality of no fear. The Buddha has no fear. So what we are trying to do by having these 7 essentials practices is to gradually, as we practice more, as we reflect more, as we go through life more, eventually it will lead us to no fear. It will lead us to abhaya. What is no fear? Ultimately, no fear is nirvana, cessation of dukkha. No dukkha, no fear. Right? Cessation of dukkha, cessation of fear. That's what it means. So I had to go about a roundabout way to answer this question because it's it's about our understanding. So when you say fear, fear normally comes about because we want something we cannot control. And the reality of life is we can't control, but we want control. That's the one that gives rise to fear. Okay? Is there any more? No more question. Okay, very good. One more question from the floor. Very good.
Namo Buddhaya, Brother Dinian. Thanks for sharing. Regarding sister question just now, my personal experience, I agree that I myself, I don't follow the sequence as well. Mine is somewhere I learning from dukkha. I think I start from learning what is dukkha.
Learning from again?
I learning what is dukkha.
Okay, okay,
from there.
okay.
Then maybe from there I learn some wisdom. Then when it come to faith. So I don't really follow the sequence from first. But for me, I think it doesn't matter because it's come in total cycle. This is the first thing I want to share. The second thing is talking. I got one question regarding the 7 essentials. On the sharing, I think is some things that this Buddha talking about this sutta is for me. I feel like this is something that's what we do to achieve, to create our protections in our life. But are there any extensions into how? Like talking about the energy, how we maintain the energy? Is it any extension of the sutra or any things that we can learn how to maintain the energy or keep the energy going on into that? By knowing that we need energy to maintain on this one, but how? Is there any extension on this one? Thank you, brother.
All right, your brother?
Eric here.
Eric, okay. I think the question is, thanks for sharing earlier about your experience. But I think the question, just to repeat here, is that you were saying you now know these are the qualities. The question is, how do we ensure the continuity, that it will continue to be with us? What are the different practices that we can do, right? If I hear you correctly. I think we can't, my experience and also what the Buddha recommends is we can't do it alone. So, which means trying to practice all this by ourselves alone is going to be a tougher, not to say cannot. There are people who are quite determined and they are quite, but even those very determined people, they also do not do it alone. That's why the Buddha talks about the Sangha, the community. So in the monastic order, the Sangha, the monks live together, practice together, learn together, and support each other on a very regular basis. They may sometimes practice on their own, live on their own, but many a time they do come back together into the community to be part of this community. Similarly, for us lay people who are not monastics, it is also equally important that we find a way in which we should also have a community that practices together. So how do you sustain practices like that? One essential way is to have the environment around us that is conducive for practice. Meaning who do we mix with? Who are the people that we spend most of our time with? Who are the people that we hang out with do matter, because our environment will influence our life. Y'all, how many of you keep an aquarium at home? Rear your fish. You do? All right. If the fish is sick, what do we do? If you know the fish is unwell, what do you do? Do you treat the fish or do you treat the water? You treat the water. You don't treat the fish. You treat the water. It means you treat the environment. So in the same way, we need to also find the right environment for us to sustain the practices, because only with the right people around us can we help each other. So how do we find the right people around us? One is come every Sunday. You sure got find people. One. Second one is you must have some discernment lah, to tell the difference between good friends and not so good friends. Good relatives and not so good relatives at the same time, because those matter. So what do you do? What we can do is to consciously seek out like-minded individuals, like-minded people. I mean, our friends from Tarabadi, right? Indonesia, I'm sure they are all friends and they come to this center because you are finding connection to like-minded people. You may not go teh tarik with them, doesn't matter, but these are like-minded individuals. These will provide you the support you need to carry on the practices. Of course, at the same time, we ourselves humble ourselves to learn more and more of those practices. It's a combination of things. But I find the most important one is still about the environment. So if you ask about sustaining the practice, you can't do it on your own. It'll be tougher, not to say impossible, but very, very tough. And eventually, old habits, bad habits will start to come into your life again. So you need to have a group of people where you have, good activities lah. So in SJBA, we do welcome things like that. Yeah. So I hope it answered the question. I can't offer a lot today. There are many other things to do, there are many other things to do, but I think this is very essential. In the Mangala Sutta, the Buddha says, "Asevana cha balanang, panditanang cha sevana." Not to associate with fools, but to associate with the wise. This is the highest blessing. So this is very essential. The Buddha never says, go and do it on your own. Be a superhero, be a hermit, sit in under a tree, become enlightened. That doesn't work. That's the movies. Real life, we need friends, association with the right people and things like that. That's so far my in my experience at least. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all for today. We have come to the end of our Dhamma sharing. I hope that we have done the essentials for ourselves to be able to uplift our heart and maybe grow a little bit and develop a little bit of our spiritual life. So with this, we have going to do the dedication of merits. So let's dedicate the merits. The Buddhist practice is always a good way to dedicate. The word here is to dedicate, to remember someone and then to dedicate it to them. So we are going to dedicate it to our parents, teachers, all beings, friends, and anyone that we can think about. I would suggest we also dedicate today to, I would like to do a special dedication to the late Dato' Kenny, who is one of our benefactors, and to his family for their bereavement during this trying time. We also would like to dedicate this to our neighbors, the temples on both sides, as well as the surrounding community and the community of Subanjaya and beyond, to be able to benefit and rejoice in today's spiritual experience. Let's recite together. Imang no punya bhagang mata pitu nancha acharya cha nancha sabba ตนันเจสัพเบมิตนันเจสัพเบญาตินันเจสัพเบเปตนันเจสัพเบเดเบตนันเจบาเจมาอิมังโนปุญญาภากังสัพเบสัตตานังเดมาสัพเบสัตตาสุขิตาโหนตุอิดังเมญาตินังโหตุสุขิตาโหนตุญาตโยอิดังเมญาตินังโหตุสุขิตาโหนตุญาตโยอิดังเมญาตินังโหตุสุขิตาโหนตุญาตโย So let's also make aspirations that we will continue on the path of practice, to continue to be inspired and to inspire others along the path, so that we can all move closer and closer to the realization of the truth, to the realization of nirvana, and for fortifying our life. Imina punya kammena mame balasamagamo satang samagamo hotu yavanibbana pattiya idang men punyang asavakkaya wahang hotu idang me punyang nibbana pacayo hotu sadhu sadhu sadhu. Let's take the customary 3 bows. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. May all beings be well and happy. May you be well and happy. Have a good day ahead. Have a good week ahead. And may all be blessed. Sadhu.
Dhamma vidina jita